Sure, why not?
Okay.
Real quick.
Neil McCaffrey, class of 93, 40-letter winner. Starter on the 1990 NC 218, and also a tour in the athletic department as assistant water polo coach.
I'm going to bring it up a little more into the modern era. All right? So I had the privilege of knowing Coach at 3 different levels in my life. So as a young junior in high school, I got nominated to come to what they back then called the development team. Probably no one knows what the development team is except one other person in the room. What that is basically is, as you all know, 95% of all water polo players, especially back then, all came from California. The development team was everywhere else from the States except California. That gives us a chance to actually play. All right, so that's what it turned into. So I show up here as a young junior. I was average size, about the same height, much skinnier. First day you get in the pool, you come up here, I come up from Texas, jump in the pool, and they make you swim 100 for time. Yeah, not really my strong suit. So about average time, So I find out, so they break everything up, and there's about 7 or 8 coaches, and I go down to the basement pool. That's for the has-beens. So I don't find that out until later. But so this goes on for a while. And the last day, somehow I got moved out to the big pool. Not sure how, but I did. And I ended up making the team. So myself and Dave Garcia was on the team as well. We make the team, we play. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's when we actually got to know Coach. So we were there for another 3 or 4 days, I think it was afterwards. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like him. He's very intense, but he's very knowledgeable. And I kind of like the situation, which was actually very timely, because I was actually applying to Navy at the same time. So I kind of blew off Navy, Schofield, and those guys, and came to 2 years later, come to the academy. So the class of '93 was a little different. Actually, it was a lot different. Jeff took a big chance that year, because ended up being about 5 of us, as we were called.
F-Troop.
F-Troop. I'm not quite sure where the name came from. Again, it's PG, so we won't go any further than that, I'm sure. You can ask Blair later. Just one day in practice, he threw it out there. So Jeff took a big chance. So the issue was, I was from Texas. We had Ted from St. Louis. He had to take Ted because Bud was already on the team.
Good choice! Good choice, son!
There was another kid from Oregon. A little short, bulky kid. Mouth was unbelievable. You never knew what was coming out of Brad's mouth, Brad Reed. Then you had Dan Farrington. Never could eat enough, never could feed him well enough. He always had to eat. He was from Florida. And then you had Fred. Fred was from Connecticut, and we'll leave it there. We're not going to finish. So, we go to the first year of practice, we come through, and it's the first per tournament. We're all fired up. We go into San Diego. So none of us have been to San Diego before, none of us, because we never left our states. We're all fired up that night. The night before we get up, we all run to whoever's class, or whoever's room that our stuff was in. So I ran to Watts' room, Bud had half our civilian clothes, Cranes had half our civilian clothes. So we all scattered to bring our clothes, because you could have civilian clothes, you just couldn't have them in your room. But when you traveled, you could wear it back then. Things have changed a little bit. So we get all fired up, get in the plane, off we go, get down there. And back then you play probably Saturday, Sunday, and then a little lenient, more lenient back then. Coach would be like, all right, as long as you have an adult, a responsible adult, you could go off, not girlfriends, JJ. Sorry. You could go off with them, as long as they got you back to the airport Monday morning, you were fine. So all the California kids, off they went to all their homes. I got to see little Sally Sue and go do whatever I had to do. Well, there was a little problem this year. So I didn't find this out until much later when I was actually coaching. So after the tournaments back then, Colonel Beck and Coach and Power, whoever it was, there would only be like 3 or 4 kids left. They would return vans, try to save money, close out hotel rooms. They drop the kids back off at their queues, and then they go out to a really nice dinner, leaving us behind. Well, first trip comes around, there's a little problem. Now there's 8 of us. that aren't going. So the 5 freshmen, Dave Garcia, Dave Smith, when Cheney wasn't trying to hook him up with his sister friend. Some girl, there's always something that's trying to So there was, and then there was Bud. And most of you guys all know Bud. Well, Bud was the notorious team captain, and probably not a good idea to leave a small, impressionable guys with Bud. So they changed our process. So they take us out, we go out to Marie Callender's, I think is usually where we live. So he feeds us all. You know, no one catches it that they're not eating. None of them are eating a thing. But we're all shoving food in our throats. We get ready to leave. Dan Farrington grabs an entire pie to take home to eat, but he goes back. So we get back to the hotel, and on the way back, we stop at a strip mall. You know, all the kids are in there. Brad Beat's getting beat up by somebody. There was climbing from the roof. Get back in, and they come walking out. Jeff and Colonel Beck. If you guys know Colonel Beck, a great guy, just a little, very straight. They're coming out carrying cases of beer. Don't say a word to us. Just put it in the back of the car, vans, off we go back to the queue. And we're all fired up again because we're staying at Miramar. Back then, this is, again, showing our age, 2 years after Top Gun had just shown, so it was still the place to be. So we get there, go to our rooms, sit down, like 15 minutes later, knock on the door. Open the door, there's Colonel Beck, handing us 6-packs.
No.
We're kind of like, what? And he's like, we're like, what's this? He goes, we just want you to stay. We'd rather you stay in the room and drink than go try to find beer and drink. So this is what after all that, this is my decision. I'm like, God damn, I chose the right school. Not only do I get to play water polo with a bunch of pretty good guys, I get to go to free education. Freshman year still sucked. And then the government's now buying me beer. A couple years later, those kind of left. They were not allowed anymore. A couple incidents occurred, and so things have changed, and now guys younger now have no clue what happened. As I said, we were probably the last group that some of that stuff would go on. Nowhere near as wild as some of your guys, but we had a good time as well. And then the last thing is I got to come back again and coach with Jeff later on. And as some people had mentioned before, you got to kind of prep for that. All right? So I was kind of looking around. I get there and I'm like, what's going on? What do we do? When you first think of it, when you get in the pool, you're like, what are the coaches going to do? You think that they just throw the balls in the pool and draw a couple plays in the sand and off you go. I will say that Jeff prepped more than anyone else I've ever seen. He had timed out each practice down to the minute on which drill you're doing, how long we're doing it, what's going to happen. Probably actually how many times you're going to yell at Gecko too, which is awesome. Why? Why? Get it, Gecko! So I took that lesson from Jeff, and that's probably the biggest thing I ever learned. Was if you prep for things, that usually the outcome is very positive. You know, he dealt with, as we like to say, we were small, but we're slow. We all turned out pretty good. All of us are still doing well, we're all successful. I think you did a great job, Jeff. I think, again, as everyone said before, thanks again for what you've done for Air Force Water Polo, for the Academy, for everyone. And like I said, because you did just take that big chance at this one time, you do have family all over the country, part of the water polo family that you can go and visit whenever you wish, including along with some girls that Dave could not hook up with.
Cheney.
Oh, he's not in the room.
Okay, next up, class of '95, Garrett Lowe, 4-year letter winner, team captain, team MVP, 2 times first team all WWPA, an Olympic Festival star also. Now a career fighter pilot, and I believe you're a United pilot too, is that right, Garrett? Yeah, that's right. Come on up.
I want to thank Carlos for being here. I was going to be the first and feel awkward. Is it me or is it hot in here?
been a
It's
while.
not my first one, so I will have to refer to a couple notes, because I'll probably screw this up. But I'm going to echo a lot of the things that have been said already, unfortunately, but I have to do it, because here we are. And the first thing is that the name Hydamus is synonymous with Air Force water polo. And I think that's the case for everyone in this room, and always will be. Now, from this point on, it's going to be your legacy, but what a thing to build on, Coach Brown. I mean, what a great legacy. And that name, again, and all the Hydamus, and not just Coach, but I mean, the name is, it just means a lot to everyone in this room. And just want to congratulate you and Barb on just an incredible career of service and sacrifice and everything you did, not just water polo, but just everything you've done for the country and for the Air Force, and it's pretty amazing. I'll start with mentorship, because we heard the definition, and that's part of what a coach is. And I can't look back to that phase in my life, so 18 to 22, 23, and think of a time where this man didn't have an influence in which direction I was going to go, or what was going to happen. And it started from day one. So, Flash, you talked about your GPA. I think you beat me 231.
234.
231. So I was on the 5-year plan. Not all of us could get through the academy in 4 years. And Coach said, you probably should go to the prep school. Let's think about the prep school. And I was like, you know, at that age, 5 years compared to 4 years of the academy sounds like a lifetime. He's like, just trust me on this one. This is what you need to do. I'm not the only one, by the way. Michelle. Here we go. So, Coach, you were right. You were right. Later, as a cadet, I had the privilege of going to a review board amongst my peers who were evaluating whether or not I could be an officer. And these were not good times. And, once again, I leaned on Coach, and he steadied the ship, and everything worked out all right. So again, there was his mentorship. And then the last one was, in the Air Force, my career was flying out as a pilot. You know, for a guy who was never in a flying squadron, as far as I know, he sure knew a hell of a lot about being a pilot, being in a flying squadron, what it was like. And he just kept feeding that to us and just growing that seed. And when I went out there years later, I looked back and, how do you know all this stuff? How did he know all this stuff about what it's like to be in a flying unit in the Air Force? And again, it goes back to like what Neil was saying, preparation. And this guy, he knew that that was important to us, and he wanted to pass that on, and that's that mentorship. So I'm just indebted to Coach for that. I was a member of the team in the 90s, so same as Neil. No social media, no computers, no internet really at that time. And so when we would go down to practice, and I'm assuming now that things are posted and things are, you guys are more well informed. We didn't know what we were getting into until we took that long march down to the pool, and we looked around and we saw, holy crap, the goals are put up, there's no balls, there's no hats. It's just Coach and a stationary bike. I wonder what he's got in store for us.
It ain't trivia, baby.
So there's 30 of us, and you guys all know in that pool, no lane lines. I mean, it's just a mosh pit, and there's Coach. And as I'm going back and forth, and I know I wasn't the only one, I'm thinking, God damn that bike. I want to break that thing or throw it at the bottom of the pool. Like, maybe that'll help us somehow. We never did that, but I had dreams of destroying that bike. So maybe it would end the misery. These were teams with names like Cheney, Bodden-Distel, Christ, Pendergast. These were the names that we played with and the legacy that we built. But it wasn't always good times. I was team captain this year, and we were having some trouble at practice, and we were starting to have some arguments, and there were even a couple fights. And Coach, proud of that, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you got to get this under control because this is getting out of hand." This was mid-season, and at one point it came to a head in the practice. And I think maybe JC launched like an 8-meter shot into somebody's chest, and there was a little fisticuffs, and Coach just walked out. He just left, and I thought. And I was team captain. Now what are we going to do? So we all kind of looked at each other, not knowing what to do. And we didn't do much. We kind of retreated back, and hands were shook, and we apologized, and we came back to Coach. And the next day it was all It was back to business. So he took that moment to go, yeah, he could have fixed it, he could have hammered us, but he didn't. He stood back and let us figure it out, which was what we needed to do. And we did. So again, that was another mentorship moment that sticks out to me. The blue bus has come up a couple of times. So here we go again. This was a NorCal trip. And in my version, Coach is driving. Although I don't know how much he drove the bus, but in this story, you were driving. And it was the end of the trip, and we were going from the pool to the hotel. We were lucky enough to get a hotel this time, and we had all the fan club trailing us. So all the moms and dads and girlfriends for that one last night. Neil talked about it. We're pulling into the La Quinta Inn or whatever the heck it was, and there was this overhang. And I mean, he's like, yeah, I think we can make this. We're watching, and we just make it in. All right, everybody out, bags, checking the hotel. Oh. What do you think happened? So Coach calls everybody back. Players, moms, dads, girlfriends, siblings, get on the bus, and there's photographic evidence of this. And it lowered it just enough for getting out of there. And the only casualty was a light fixture. And then Colonel Beck got his checkbook out and made everything right. So again, I've got to for that, if you forgot. Just want to mention the '94 team. So that was my senior year, and Trevor, Rich, Benji. 20-10 record, WWPA champs, 7th in NCAAs.